I stand in my parents' driveway, holding an invitation to my sister's engagement party at their family home. 3 months ago, I wired $10,000 to save this house from foreclosure. Now, my mother just called to uninvite me because my younger sister Bryn doesn't want me there. The reason? Bryn claims my success makes her feel inadequate. As rain soaks the paper in my hands, I realize I've been funding my own exclusion from the family. I sacrificed everything to save. 3 months earlier, I was sitting in my studio apartment in Seattle, reviewing spreadsheets for a client presentation, when my phone rang. It was my father, and the panic in his voice made my stomach drop. "Madeline, sweetheart, I need to talk to you about something serious." I closed my laptop immediately. My father, Doug, wasn't the type to ask for help. He was 62 years old, a proud man who'd run his own roofing business for 30 years. Hearing that tremor in his voice terrified me. "What's wrong, Dad? We're going to lose the house." The words came out strangled, like they were choking him. "The bank sent a foreclosure notice. We have 2 weeks to come up with $10,300 or we're out." My mind reeled. My parents had owned that house in Portland for 34 years. It was the home where I grew up, where every Christmas morning happened, where my height was still marked on the kitchen doorframe in pencil. The thought of them losing it felt impossible. "How did this happen?" My father's voice cracked. "The business went under last year. You know, construction slowed down, and I had that injury that kept me out of work for 4 months. We fell behind on payments. We tried to catch up, but..." He trailed off, and I could hear my mother, Patricia, crying in the background. I looked around my tiny studio apartment, 400 square feet of carefully budgeted living. I'd been saving for 3 years to buy my first condo. Every dollar counted. I meal prepped to save on food costs. I hadn't taken a vacation since I moved to Seattle for my marketing job. My savings account had exactly $11,200 in it. It was supposed to be my down payment, my ticket out of renting, my first real step toward building wealth. But it was my parents. "I'll wire you the money tomorrow," I said without hesitation. "Madeline, no. We can't ask you to do that." "You're not asking. I'm offering. Family comes first, Dad." My mother got on the phone, sobbing so hard she could barely speak. "You're our miracle daughter. Our angel. Well, never forget this, sweetheart. Never." I wired $10,300 the next morning. I watched my savings account balance drop to $900. 3 years of sacrifice, gone in one transaction. But I felt good about it, proud, even. This was what family did for each other. My parents had raised me, fed me, supported me through college, even when money was tight. This was my chance to give back. My father called as soon as the money arrived. It went through. "Madeline, you saved us. You saved our home. I love you, Dad. I'm just glad I could help. Your mother wants to talk to you." My mother's voice was thick with emotion. "We don't deserve you, honey. You're the best daughter anyone could ask for. We'll make this up to you somehow. You don't need to make anything up. Just enjoy staying in your home." After we hung up, I sat on my bed and looked around my cramped apartment. The condo would have to wait. Maybe another 2 or 3 years of saving. But my parents were secure. That's what mattered. I had always been the responsible one in the family. My younger sister Bryn was 28, 4 years younger than me, and she'd always been what our parents called the delicate one. She'd dropped out of college twice, once because she said the pressure was too much, and again because she claimed the professors didn't understand her learning style. She worked part-time at a boutique, making maybe $15 an hour, and still lived at home with our parents. Growing up, I often felt invisible. While I was studying hard, getting scholarships, working part-time jobs to pay for books, my parents were constantly worried about Bryn. Was she eating enough? Was she too stressed? Did she need help with her bills? I learned early that the way to get approval was to not need anything. So I became self-sufficient. I put myself through college, built a career, moved to Seattle for better opportunities, and never asked my parents for a dime. But that was okay. I told myself it made me stronger. And now, when they really needed help, I was there. That had to count for something. 2 days after I sent the money, I was scrolling through social media during my lunch break when I saw the photos. My mother had posted them. The whole family at Bennett's Steakhouse, one of the nicest restaurants in Portland. The caption read, "Celebrating keeping our home. So blessed and grateful." There was my father, grinning widely, holding up a glass of wine. My mother, looking radiant in a new dress. And Bryn, laughing, with what looked like a shrimp cocktail in front of her. I did a quick mental calculation. Bennett's Steakhouse. For 3 people, with appetizers and drinks. At least $250. Probably more. They hadn't invited me. I stared at the photos, feeling something cold settle in my chest. I had just given them every dollar I'd saved for 3 years, and they'd celebrated without me. I was 2 hours away in Seattle. They could have invited me. They could have at least mentioned it. I called my mother that evening, trying to keep my voice light. "Hey, Mom. Saw the photos from dinner. Looked like you guys had fun." "Oh, yes. It was lovely. Your father insisted we go out to celebrate. Why didn't you invite me?" I could have driven down. There was a pause. "Oh, honey. You're so busy up in Seattle. We didn't want to bother you. You're always working so hard. I would have made time. I'm the one who made the celebration possible." Her tone shifted slightly, becoming defensive. "Well, it was a last-minute thing. Don't be upset." But I was upset. I ended the call politely and sat in my apartment, staring at those photos. A small seed of resentment planted itself in my heart, though I tried to ignore it. They were just excited, I told myself. They weren't thinking clearly. It didn't mean anything. I should have paid more attention to that feeling. 6 weeks after I saved my parents' house, Bryn called me, squealing so loudly I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "I'm engaged. Tyler proposed last night." I felt a genuine rush of happiness for her. "Oh my gosh, Bryn, congratulations. Tell me everything." Tyler was Bryn's boyfriend of 11 months. He was 29, worked at his father's car dealership, and came from what Bryn always called good money. I'd met him twice at family dinners. He seemed nice enough, if a bit bland. But Bryn was glowing whenever she talked about him. And that's what mattered. "The ring is gorgeous, Madeline. 2.5 carats. Can you believe it? I'll send you pictures." The photos came through moments later. The ring was indeed stunning, clearly expensive. I pushed away the thought of how much it must have cost, and focused on being happy for my sister. "It's beautiful. I'm so happy for you. Mom and Dad are throwing us an engagement party. At the house, of course. It's going to be amazing." Over the next few days, the party planning consumed my family's group chat. My mother sent constant updates about catering companies, rental tents, photographers. I offered to help however I could. "Why don't we do something at a nice restaurant?" I suggested. That might be easier than hosting at the house. My mother's response was immediate and firm. "Absolutely not. Bryn deserves something special at home, where she grew up. This is a milestone moment." I watched as the expenses mounted. My mother hired a catering company for $1,500. They rented a tent for the backyard for $800. A professional bartender would cost $400. A photographer was $600. Flowers and decorations came to $700. I did the math. Over $4,000. A knot formed in my stomach. These were the same people Wad nearly lost their house 3 months ago. The same people I'd emptied my savings account to help. I called my father, trying to approach it gently. "Dad, the party sounds beautiful. But how are you guys affording all this? You were in such a tough spot just a few months ago." His voice turned defensive immediately. "We've got it handled, Madeline. This is our baby girl's special moment. We're not going to cheap out on her engagement party." "I'm not saying cheap out. I'm just concerned about your finances. Well, don't be. Tyler's parents are contributing $2,000 as a gift, and your mother and I have been saving. This isn't your concern. The words stung. My $10,000 had apparently bought me no right to question their spending. I swallowed my objections and told myself to let it go. It wasn't my business anymore. It helped when they needed it, and now they were moving forward. That was good. That's what I wanted. When my invitation arrived in the mail, I actually smiled. It was on thick, expensive cardstock with gold embossing. Bryn's name and Tyler's were written in elegant script. The date was 3 weeks away, on a Saturday afternoon. I immediately requested the day off work and started planning what to wear. I was holding the invitation, thinking about whether to drive down Friday night or Saturday morning, when my phone rang. It was Bryn. "Hey," I answered. "I just got the invitation. It's gorgeous." "Yeah, about that." Bryn's voice was flat, cold in a way I'd never heard before. "I need to talk to you about the party." Something in her tone made me sit down. "Okay, what's up?" "Mom and Dad think it's better if you don't come." The words didn't make sense. I heard them, but my brain couldn't process them. "What?" "Tyler's family is going to be there. They're very traditional, and there are going to be a lot of important people. We just think it's better if you stay home." "Bryn, I don't understand." "I'm your sister." Her voice went sharp. "You make me feel bad about myself, Madeline. You're always so successful and put together. Everything you touch turns to gold. I want this day to be about me for once, not about you and your perfect career and your perfect life." I was too stunned to respond. "Mom and Dad agree with me," she continued. "They don't want any tension at the party, so it's better if you just don't come." "Bryn, wait." She hung up. I sat there, staring at my phone, the invitation still in my other hand, the beautiful, expensive invitation to a party I'd apparently been uninvited from. An invitation to celebrate my sister's engagement at the house I'd saved with my entire life savings, and I wasn't welcome. My hands started shaking. Not from sadness, from rage. I immediately called my mother. She answered on the third ring, her voice cautious. "Hi, sweetheart." "Mom, Bryn just called and said I'm uninvited from the engagement party. Please tell me she's joking." There was a long pause. "Honey, you have to understand. Bryn is very sensitive right now. This is a big moment for her. I understand that, but I'm her sister. Why would you uninvite me?" "It's not about uninviting you. It's about making sure Bryn feels comfortable on her special day." The carefully worded corporate speak made my blood boil. "Mom, I gave you every penny I had to save your house. $10,000, my entire down payment fund. And now, I'm not even allowed to come to a party at that house." My mother's voice shifted, taking on an edge of irritation. "Don't make this about the money, Madeline. That was a gift." "A gift? I gave up my dream of buying a condo to save your home, and you're calling it a gift. And we're grateful. We've told you how grateful we are. But this is about Bryn's happiness, not about money." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "So my happiness doesn't matter?" "Of course it does. But you're strong, Madeline. You've always been strong. Bryn needs us more right now. Have you ever considered that maybe I need you too?" My mother sighed, and I could hear the exasperation in it. "Sweetheart, don't be dramatic. You have your whole life together. Bryn is just starting out. She needs our support." "What about my support? What about supporting me?" "We do support you, but you don't need the same kind of attention Bryn does. You've always been independent. That's a good thing." "No, Mom. What you mean is, I've always been convenient. I don't complain. I don't need anything. And I bail you out when you're in trouble. That's not independence. That's being taken for granted. That's not fair." "You know what's not fair? Being uninvited from my own sister's engagement party after saving the venue with my life savings." My mother's tone hardened. "You know, you've always been jealous of Bryn. Even when you were kids, always competing with her. I felt like Shed slapped me. Jealous? Mom, I've never competed with Bryn. I've spent my whole life trying to stay out of the way, so you could focus on her. That's exactly what I mean. You always have to make it about yourself, your sacrifices, your accomplishments, your needs. Can't you just let your sister have this one thing, without making it difficult? I'm not making anything difficult. You're the ones uninviting me. Stop being dramatic. This is why we made this decision. You can't just be happy for your sister. You always have to center yourself. I was so angry I could barely speak. I can't believe you're twisting this around on me. I'm not twisting anything. I'm telling you the truth, and you don't want to hear it. Your father and I have made our decision. Bryn needs us, and we're going to be there for her. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but sometimes being a family means making hard choices. Being a family means making hard choices, I repeated slowly, like choosing to exclude one daughter to make the other one comfortable. Goodbye, Madeline. I hope you'll calm down and understand eventually. She hung up. I immediately called my father. He answered with a wary, "Hello. Dad, please tell me you don't agree with this. Your mother and I have made our decision, Madeline." His formal tone told me everything I needed to know, but I pushed forward anyway. "Dad, this is insane. I'm being punished for being responsible." "No one's punishing you. Bryn is starting a new life. This is an important moment for her. She needs us. What about what I need? What about me?" His voice took on that patronizing tone I'd heard him use with difficult customers. "You're 32 years old, Madeline. You don't need us anymore. You have your career, your apartment, your whole life in Seattle. Bryn still needs guidance. She still needs her family. I'm family too. Of course you are. But you're also an adult who can stand on your own 2 feet. Bryn can't. Not yet. Because you've never made her. You've babied her our entire lives. That's enough," my father snapped. "I won't have you talking about your sister that way. Your mother and I have always done our best for both of you girls. If you can't see that, that's your problem." "My problem?" "My problem is that I emptied my savings account to save your house, and now you're telling me I'm not welcome in it. We appreciate what you did, but that doesn't give you the right to dictate how we handle Bryn's engagement." "I'm not trying to dictate anything. I just want to be included in my own family." "You are included, just not at this particular event. It's one day, Madeline. Surely you can understand that Bryn's comfort comes first on her engagement day." "Why does Bryn's comfort always come first?" "Because that's what she needs right now. Family means making sacrifices. You know that. You've always known that. I'm the only one sacrificing. This conversation is over. Don't upset your mother any further. She's been crying all afternoon because of you, because of me. Not because of the terrible thing they were doing, because of my reaction to it." He hung up. I sat in my apartment, shaking with rage and hurt. I pulled up my bank account on my laptop. $900. That's all I had left. 3 years of careful saving, of saying no to trips with friends, of eating ramen so I could save an extra $100 a month. Gone. And for what? For people who didn't even want me around? I looked at the invitation sitting on my desk. The expensive cardstock, the gold embossing, the beautiful calligraphy. An invitation to my own exclusion. Something inside me snapped. I opened my email and started typing. My hands moved faster than my thoughts, fury pouring out through my fingers. Subject: about the $10,000, Mom, Dad, and Bryn. Since we're apparently being honest about feelings and needs, let me be clear about mine. 3 months ago, I gave you $10,000. Not loaned, gave, because you told me you'd lose the house without it. I gave you every penny I'd saved for 3 years, my entire down payment fund, my dream of owning my first home, gone in one wire transfer. I did it without hesitation because I believed family meant showing up for each other. I believed that when people you love are in crisis, you help them. I believed that sacrifice meant something. What I didn't know was that you'd celebrated keeping the house at a $250 dinner without inviting me. What I didn't know was that you'd spend over $4,000 on an engagement party just months after nearly losing everything. And what I definitely didn't know was that I'd be uninvited to that party because my success makes Bryn uncomfortable. Let me be absolutely clear. I'm done being the family ATM while being treated like an inconvenience. You've told me that this is about Bryn's needs, about supporting her during an important time, but what I'm hearing is that my value to this family is purely financial. I'm useful when you need money, and I'm disposable when you need a scapegoat for Bryn's insecurities. So here's what's going to happen. The $10,000 wasn't a gift. It was a loan, and I expect to be repaid. You have 12 months to repay the full amount. That's $833.33 per month. First payment is due in 30 days. I'll send you my Venmo information. Consider this my resignation from being your backup plan. Madeline, I attached a simple payment schedule I'd created in a spreadsheet. 12 months. Equal payments. Professional and clear. My cursor hovered over the send button for a long moment. Part of me whispered that I was overreacting, that I should calm down and think about this. But the larger part of me, the part that had been ignored and dismissed my entire life, hit send. The email whooshed away. My phone immediately started ringing. I stared at my mother's name on the screen, then my father's, then Bryn's, then my mother again. I turned my phone completely off and set it on my desk. For the first time in 3 months, I felt like I could breathe. I left my phone off for 3 days, 3 days of silence, of focusing on work, of pretending I didn't have a family imploding in Portland. But on the 4th day, I knew I had to face it. I turned my phone on and watched as notification after notification flooded in. 67 missed calls, 43 text messages, and a voicemail box so full it wouldn't accept any more messages. I started reading the texts, and each one felt like a punch to the gut. From my mother. How dare you demand money from your own parents? After everything we did raising you, feeding you, putting a roof over your head? This is blackmail. You should be ashamed of yourself. From my father. This is the most disrespectful thing you've ever done. You're trying to destroy this family. If you need money so badly, you shouldn't have given it away in the first place. We don't owe you anything. From Bryn. You're a selfish, jealous witch. I hope you're happy ruining my engagement. This is exactly why no one wants you around. You make everything about you. But it wasn't just my immediate family. Somehow, my parents had mobilized the entire extended family. I had messages from my Aunt Carol, my Uncle Jim, cousins I barely spoke to, even my grandmother. Aunt Carol. Madeline, your mother is beside herself. How could you treat your parents this way? They almost lost their house, and now you're demanding they pay you back? That's not how family works. My cousin Amanda. Wow. Just wow. I can't believe you'd do this to Bryn during her engagement. You've always been jealous of her, but this is a new low. Even my grandmother, who was 83 and barely understood how to send texts, had somehow managed to type, "Very disappointed in you, dear." I sat on my bed, scrolling through message after message, each one telling me I was cruel, selfish, heartless, ungrateful. Not a single person asked for my side of the story. Not one person said, "Hey, what happened? Are you okay?" That already decided I was the villain. I called my best friend Jordan, the only person I trusted to tell me the truth. "They're gaslighting you," she said immediately, after I explained everything. Classic narcissistic family dynamics. You set a boundary, and they're punishing you for it by turning everyone against you. But maybe I was too harsh? Maybe I shouldn't have demanded the money back. Madeline, listen to me. You gave them your life savings. They threw you a $250 dinner you weren't invited to, spent $4,000 on a party, and then uninvited you from that party. And now they're mad that you want your money back? That's insane. My whole family thinks I'm wrong. Your whole family has been trained to cater to Bryn, and not question your parents. You're the first one to break the pattern, so of course they're coming after you. Stand your ground. I wanted to believe her, but the onslaught felt relentless. That afternoon, my social media became a battlefield. Bryn posted a vague but clearly pointed status. When you realize some people in your life are just toxic, and you're better off cutting them out. Focusing on the people who truly love and support me. The post got 237 likes and dozens of comments. So proud of you for setting boundaries. You deserve only positive energy in your life. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes you have to choose your own family, my cousin Rachel commented. Some people are just jealous and bitter. You're glowing, girl. Don't let anyone dim your light. I wanted to scream. I wanted to comment and tell everyone what actually happened. But I knew that anything I said would be twisted. It'd be the bitter sister, the jealous daughter, the cruel one who demanded money back during a time of celebration. So, I stayed silent. But my silence didn't protect me. My Aunt Carol called me directly, and foolishly, I answered. Madeline? Honey, we need to talk about what's happening. Aunt Carol, did anyone tell you why I sent that email? Your mother explained everything. She said you gave them some money, which was very generous, but now you're demanding it back, right when Bryn is getting engaged. Honey, that's not right. Did she tell you they uninvited me from the engagement party? There was a pause. Well, she mentioned there was some tension, and they thought it would be better if you didn't come. But Madeline, can you blame Bryn? You do come across as a bit judgmental sometimes. Maybe she just wanted a drama-free day. I'm judgmental because I had the audacity to be successful. That's not what I meant. But you have to understand, Bryn has always struggled more than you. Things come easily to you. You make good money, you have your own place, you're independent. Bryn needs more support. And maybe your presence would have made her feel self-conscious. So I should just accept being excluded. It's one day. Madeline, is your pride really worth destroying your family over? I hung up. I couldn't listen to any more of it. That evening, I found out through a mutual friend that my parents had completely rewritten the narrative. They were telling people that they'd scraped together the mortgage payment themselves through hard work and sacrifice. They'd taken full credit for saving the house. My $10,000 had been erased from the story entirely. Instead, I was the ungrateful daughter who'd given them a small gift and then demanded it back out of spite because I wasn't invited to a party. Tyler's parents apparently thought my parents were such hard workers and so admirable for pulling themselves up by their bootstraps. The injustice of it burned in my chest. On the 5th day after sending the email, a letter arrived at my apartment. It was from a law firm I didn't recognize. My hands shook as I opened it. It was a cease and desist letter. Dear Miss Madeline Harper, we represent Douglas and Patricia Harper regarding your recent communications. Your email dated October 15th constitutes harassment and contains defamatory statements about our clients. Our clients wish to inform you that the money you provided was a gift, freely given, with no expectation of repayment. There was no loan agreement, written or verbal. Any attempt to claim otherwise is false and potentially actionable. We demand that you immediately cease and desist from 1. Contacting our clients regarding alleged repayment. 2. Spreading false information about our clients to family members or on social media. 3. Making any further defamatory statements. Failure to comply will result in legal action. Our clients are prepared to pursue all available remedies, including but not limited to claims for harassment, defamation, and emotional distress. This firm expects your compliance with this notice. The letter was signed by an attorney whose hourly rate was probably $300. I stared at the letter, understanding flooding through me. My parents had paid an attorney, probably $500 to $1,000, to send me this threatening letter. They had money for lawyers. They had money for elaborate engagement parties. They had money for expensive dinners. But they didn't have money to pay me back. And more than that, they were willing to threaten legal action against their own daughter, rather than admit they owed me anything. I also realized something else. I had no written loan agreement, no promissory note, no text messages or emails where they agreed to pay me back. It had been a family transaction based on trust and love. Trust that was now completely shattered. Legally, I probably didn't have a leg to stand on. I put the letter down and did something I hadn't done since this whole nightmare began. I cried. Not sad tears. Angry tears. Tears of betrayal and rage and grief for the family I thought I had but clearly never did. When I was done crying, I made a decision. I wasn't going to respond to the letter. I wasn't going to fight them legally. I wasn't going to post on social media or try to win over extended family. I was going to do something much simpler and much more powerful. I was going to walk away. I blocked my parents' phone numbers. I blocked Bryn. I blocked every family member who'd sent me a nasty message. I unfriended them all on social media. I removed myself from every family group chat. If they wanted me gone, it'd be gone. But it'd be gone on my terms, not theirs. 3 weeks later, the engagement party happened. I knew because social media, despite my blocking, has a way of leaking information. A coworker who followed Bryn on Instagram mentioned it casually. Hey, didn't you say your sister was getting engaged? I saw the party photos. Looked amazing. I smiled tightly. Yeah, it looked nice. I didn't tell her I hadn't been there. I didn't tell her I'd been explicitly uninvited. I just nodded and changed the subject. But that night, curiosity got the better of me. I logged into an old Instagram account I barely used and looked at the photos. I shouldn't have. I knew it would hurt. But I couldn't help myself. The party was beautiful. The tent was hung with string lights. There were floral arrangements on every table. Professional photos showed Bryn in a flowing white dress, Tyler in a crisp suit, my parents beaming with pride. Over 80 people attended, all dressed up, all celebrating. My mother had posted a particularly painful caption. Our beautiful daughter celebrating love, surrounded by family. So grateful for this moment. Family. I was family too, but apparently not the kind that mattered. I noticed something else in the photos. The food looked expensive. The bar was fully stocked with top-shelf liquor. The cake was a 3-tiered masterpiece. Every detail screamed money. Money they'd claimed not to have. Money they'd threatened to sue me over. I closed the app and threw myself into work. I took on extra projects. I stayed late at the office. I volunteered to lead a new client pitch. My boss, Amanda, noticed my increased dedication and called me into her office. Madeline, I don't know what's driving this sudden surge in productivity, but I like it. You've been crushing it lately. I'm putting you forward for the senior director position that's opening up next quarter. The promotion would come with a $23,000 salary increase. It would also come with more responsibility, but I welcomed it. Work was the one place where my efforts were actually appreciated. Thank you, Amanda. I won't let you down. You never do. That's why I'm recommending you. 3 weeks after the engagement party, I received a LinkedIn message from someone I didn't know. Her name was Grace, and her profile showed she was an attorney in Portland. My first instinct was to delete it, assuming it was related to my parents somehow. But something made me read it. Hi, Madeline. I know this is out of the blue, and we've never met, but am Tyler's sister. I was at the engagement party, and I overheard some things that really bothered me. I did some digging afterward, and I think you deserve to know what I found. Would you be willing to meet for coffee? I'm actually in Seattle next week for work. This is important. I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to leave the whole mess behind me, but curiosity won. I messaged back. Okay, coffee. But I'm wary of anything related to my family right now. She responded immediately. I understand. And am on your side. I promise. You'll see why when we meet. The following Wednesday, I met Grace at a coffee shop in downtown Seattle. She was 31, impeccably dressed in a charcoal gray suit, with sharp, intelligent eyes. She didn't waste time on small talk. "Thank you for meeting me. I know this must be strange." "That's an understatement." "Why did you want to talk to me?" Grace leaned forward. "Because I was at the engagement party, and I overheard your parents saying some things that made my skin crawl. I couldn't stop thinking about it, so I did some research. I'm an attorney, so I know how to dig. And what I found made me realize you've been massively screwed over." My stomach tightened. "What did you hear?" "I was in the kitchen getting a drink when your parents were talking with some guests. Someone asked where you were, where their other daughter was. Your mother laughed and said, 'Oh, Madeline couldn't make it. She's so career-focused. Always too busy for family.' The casual lie shouldn't have surprised me, but it still stung." Grace continued. Then Bryn joined the conversation. She said, and I quote, "Honestly, it's better this way. She'd just make everything about her success." Your mother nodded and said, "We tried our best with her, but she's always been cold. Not like Bryn." And your father added, "At least Bryn knows the value of family. Madeline only cares about money." I felt sick. "But that's not even the worst part," Grace said. "They started talking about how they got you to pay off their mortgage. Your mother actually said, $10,000, and she just handed it over. She makes 6 figures, she can afford it." They were laughing about it, Madeline. Laughing. My hands clenched around my coffee cup. "I was disgusted," Grace said. "So I started asking some questions, discreetly, and then I pulled some public records." She slid a folder across the table to me. "This is what I found." I opened the folder. Inside were property records for my parents' house. "Look at the date on the refinance," Grace said. I scanned the document. 4 months before my father called me about the foreclosure, my parents had refinanced their house. They'd taken out $60,000 in a cash-out refinance. They pulled out $60,000, Grace explained. Then 4 months later, they claimed they were broke and facing foreclosure. Where did the money go? Grace pulled out another document. "I found this too. 2 months before they called you, they bought a brand new truck, $35,000. It's registered in Bryn's name." I stared at the registration. A new Ford F-150, registered to Bryn Harper. They gave my sister a $35,000 truck, then called me begging for money. It gets worse. I also found credit card statements. Well, the existence of them. Through some contacts I have, I learned your parents have been financially irresponsible for years. They've maxed out multiple credit cards. They've defaulted on other loans. They've borrowed from other family members and never paid them back. Other family members. Your Uncle Jim, for one. He loaned them $8,000 3 years ago for your father's business. Never saw a penny of it. Your Aunt Carol loaned them $5,000 2 years ago. Also never repaid. My head was spinning. Why would they keep lending money to people who never pay them back? Because your parents are good at playing the victim. They tell a sad story, promise they'll pay it back, and then disappear when it's time to make good. And when people ask for their money, your parents flip it around and make them feel guilty for asking. I thought about the cease and desist letter. The accusations of being heartless and greedy. Grace wasn't finished. "Here's the thing, Madeline. My parents did a background check on your family before approving Tyler's engagement to Bryn. It's standard procedure in our family for serious relationships. You do background checks on your sons, fiancés, family. My father is a retired investment banker. My mother is a former prosecutor. They take these things seriously. They want to make sure Tyler isn't marrying into a family that will cause him financial or legal problems down the line." And what did they find? Grace's expression was grim, enough to concern them deeply. The pattern of financial irresponsibility, the unpaid debts, the manipulation. My parents don't want Tyler legally tied to a family like that. What does that mean? It means they're going to ask him to break off the engagement. I sat back, stunned. When? In 3 days, At a family dinner at my parents' house. They've planned it all out. They're going to sit Tyler and Bryn down and explain why this marriage can't happen. Does Tyler know? Not yet. But he will. My parents are very thorough when they make decisions like this. Grace looked at me intently. I wanted you to know because I think you deserve to see it. After everything they put you through, after everything they took from you, you should see the consequences catch up to them. Why would you help me? You don't even know me. Because I heard them laughing about how they manipulated you out of $10,000. Because I saw the hurt on your face when I described what they said. And because I believe in justice. She paused. I can get you into that dinner. You'd come as my guest. You don't have to say a word. You can just watch. But I thought you might want to be there. I thought about it. Part of me wanted nothing to do with any of them ever again. But another part of me, the part that had been called greedy and heartless and cruel, wanted to see the truth finally exposed. Yes, I said. I want to be there. Grace smiled. Good. He'll pick you up Saturday at 5. Saturday evening, I dressed carefully. Not too formal, not too casual. I chose a navy blue dress that made me look professional and put together. I wanted them to see that I was doing fine without them. Better than fine. Grace picked me up in a sleek black sedan. Ready for this? I don't know. But I'm going anyway. The drive to her parents' estate took 40 minutes. The house was in an affluent suburb of Portland, set back from the road behind iron gates. It was the kind of wealth that whispered rather than shouted. Old money, elegant. Your family is really rich, I said. Grace laughed. My parents worked hard and invested wisely. They also married well. But more importantly, they're smart about money. They don't make the same mistakes twice, and they don't enable people who are financially irresponsible. We pulled up to the house just as my family was arriving. I saw my father's car. The same old sedan had been driving for 10 years. Right behind it was Bryn's brand new truck, gleaming in the evening light. When Grace and I walked into the house together, I saw my family already seated in the formal dining room. The moment Bryn saw me, her face went white. What is she doing here? My mother stood up, her face flushing. Grace, this is a family dinner. Why would you bring her? Grace's voice was calm and pleasant. Madeline is my guest. She's welcome in my parents' home. My father started to protest, but Grace's father, Robert, stood at the head of the table. He was in his mid-60s, with silver hair and the commanding presence of someone used to running boardrooms. Everyone, please sit down. We have important matters to discuss. I sat next to Grace, directly across from Bryn and Tyler. Tyler looked confused, glancing between me and his family. He was a nice-looking guy, but there was a softness to him, a lack of backbone I could see clearly now. Robert didn't waste time. We've asked you all here because Diana and I have serious concerns about this engagement. My mother plastered on a smile. Concerns? I'm sure whatever it is, we can discuss it and clear up any misunderstandings. Grace, this is a family dinner. Why would you bring her? Grace's voice was calm and pleasant. Madeline is my guest. She's welcome in my parents' home. My father started to protest, but Grace's father, Robert, stood at the head of the table. He was in his mid-60s, with silver hair and the commanding presence of someone used to running boardrooms. Everyone, please sit down. We have important matters to discuss. I sat next to Grace, directly across from Bryn and Tyler. Tyler looked confused, glancing between me and his family. He was a nice-looking guy, but there was a softness to him, a lack of backbone I could see clearly now. Robert didn't waste time. We've asked you all here because Diana and I have serious concerns about this engagement. My mother plastered on a smile. Concerns? I'm sure whatever it is, we can discuss it and clear up any misunderstandings. You took out $60,000 and burned through it in a matter of months. My father stood up. How dare you investigate us? This is a violation of our privacy. Sit down, Doug, Robert said, his voice leaving no room for argument. My father sat, Diana continued. We're also aware of the pattern of borrowing from family members and never repaying them. 8,000 from Jim, 5,000 from Carol, and 10,000 from your daughter Madeline, who is sitting right here. All eyes turned to me. I kept my face neutral, letting them do the talking. That was a gift, my mother said quickly. Madeline gave us that money freely. That's not what I heard at the engagement party, Grace said. I heard you laughing about how you manipulated her into giving you the money, about how she just handed it over, and how she can afford it because she makes good money. Tyler turned to Bryn. What is she talking about? What $10,000? Bryn's mouth opened and closed. It's nothing. It's not important. It's very important, Robert said. Madeline gave your family $10,000 to save them from foreclosure. Then they spent $4,000 on your engagement party. Then they uninvited Madeline from that party because you claimed her success made you uncomfortable. Tyler's face changed as he processed this. You didn't tell me any of this. Because it's not true. Bryn's voice was rising. She's twisting everything. I haven't said a word. I pointed out quietly. Diana pulled out a folder. We have property records, financial statements, documentation of the truck purchased in Bryn's name 2 months before they claimed to be broke. This isn't speculation. This is fact. My mother tried a different approach, her voice going soft and wounded. I don't understand why you're attacking us like this. We're not perfect, but we love our daughter. We love Tyler. We just want them to be happy. Then, you should have thought about that before establishing a pattern of financial manipulation, Robert said. My wife and I have seen this before. People who are financially irresponsible don't just affect their own lives. They pull everyone around them into their chaos. Tyler turned to Bryn. Did your parents really uninvite your sister from our engagement party? After she gave them $10,000, Bryn's eyes filled with tears. You don't understand. She makes me feel so inadequate. Everything is so easy for her. I just wanted one day where I didn't feel like I was in her shadow. So, you kicked her out after she saved your family's home. Tyler's voice was filled with disbelief. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Tyler stood up, his hands shaking. He pulled the engagement ring from Bryn's finger. I can't do this, Bryn gasped. What? Tyler, no, I can't marry someone who treats family this way. Who lies to me about major things. Who kicks out her sister after she sacrificed her savings for the family. He looked at my parents, and I definitely can't marry into a family that would support that kind of behavior. My mother stood up, her voice desperate. Tyler, please, don't do this. Bryn loves you. We all love you. You love what I can provide, Tyler said. You love my family's money and status. But that's not the same as actually loving me. Bryn was sobbing now, mascara running down her face. This is all your fault. She turned to me, her face twisted with rage. You did this. You ruined everything. I stood up slowly. When I spoke, my voice was calm, steady. I didn't do anything, Bryn. You did this to yourself. You're such a selfish bitch, she screamed. You couldn't just let me be happy. You had to ruin it. I gave you my entire savings, I said. I asked for nothing in return except basic respect. You couldn't even give me that. My father pointed at me. You've destroyed your sister's life. Are you happy now? I looked at him. This man who raised me, who I'd loved and trusted, who'd called me begging for help, and then threw me away when I became inconvenient. I didn't destroy anything, I said. You did that yourselves. You made choices. You manipulated. You lied. You took advantage. And now you're facing the consequences. My mother's face crumpled. How can you be so cruel? We're your family. You're right. You are my family. And you taught me that family means sacrifice. Well, I sacrificed everything I had for you. My savings, my dreams, my dignity. And you sacrificed me the moment it became convenient. I picked up my purse. I hope someday you realize what you lost. But honestly, I don't think you will. Because you've never actually seen me as a person. Just as a resource. I looked at Bryn, who was still sobbing. I hope someday you learn that love isn't about making yourself smaller, so others feel bigger. Real love lifts everyone up. What we had wasn't love, it was dysfunction. I turned to Robert and Diana. Thank you for your hospitality, and thank you for caring about the truth. To Grace, I said, thank you for your friendship. It means more than you know. Then I walked out of that dining room with my head high, my shoulders back, my dignity intact. Behind me, I could hear Bryn screaming, my parents trying to salvage the situation. Tyler's voice firm as he refused to change his mind. But I didn't look back. For the first time in my life, I was walking away from my family's chaos, instead of trying to fix it. And it felt like freedom. 6 months later, my life looked completely different. The promotion came through. I was now senior marketing director, with a salary increase of $23,000. I'd saved aggressively, living below my means, and finally had enough for a down payment again. In February, I closed on a beautiful one-bedroom condo in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood. It wasn't huge, just 800 square feet, but it had floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the city. Every morning, I woke up to sunlight streaming across my own hardwood floors. I'd filled it with plants, art I actually liked, and furniture I'd chosen myself. No hand-me-downs, no compromises. It was entirely mine. My friendship with Grace had grown into something I treasured. She introduced me to her circle of friends, professional women who were emotionally intelligent, supportive, and drama-free. For the first time in my life, I understood what healthy relationships felt like. No guilt, no manipulation, no walking on eggshells, just mutual respect and genuine care. I'd also started therapy. My therapist, Dr. Chen, helped me understand the family dynamics I'd grown up in. Terms like scapegoat and golden child and emotional abuse started to make sense of my childhood. I began to see that my role in the family had been assigned to me, not chosen by me. You were parentified, Dr. Chen explained, made responsible for things that weren't your job, and when you finally set a boundary, the whole system collapsed, because it was built on your willingness to sacrifice yourself. The clarity was painful, but also liberating. I hadn't spoken to my family in 6 months. It blocked their numbers, their social media, their emails. I knew from Grace that Bryn had spiraled after the broken engagement. She'd quit her job at the boutique, barely left her room for weeks. My parents' marriage had become strained as they blamed each other for ruining Bryn's chance. I felt sad about it, but not guilty. Their choices were not my responsibility. Then, on a Saturday morning in April, my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I checked the peephole and felt my stomach drop. It was my father. He stood on my doorstep, looking older than I remembered. Smaller somehow. His hair had gone grayer. There were new lines around his eyes. I opened the door, but didn't invite him in. "What are you doing here? I needed to see you. Can I come in?" I hesitated, then stepped aside. He walked into my condo, looking around at everything I'd built. "You have a beautiful home. Thank you." He sat on my couch without being invited, and I saw how much had aged. Whatever had happened in the past 6 months had taken a toll. "I'm not here to ask for anything," he said. "I'm here to say I'm sorry." The words hung in the air. I sat across from him, waiting. "Your mother and I..." He paused, his voice cracking. "We failed you, Madeline. We failed you in ways I'm only starting to understand." He told me what had happened after that dinner at the Harrington estate. Bryn had fallen into a deep depression. She'd finally started therapy. And in therapy, she'd begun to see how she'd been enabled her whole life. How my parents had protected her from consequences, made excuses for her, built her identity around being fragile. Her therapist suggested family therapy, my father said. So your mother and I started going, and the therapist asked us questions about you, about how we treated you, about our expectations. He wiped at his eyes. It was like having a mirror held up to our faces. We couldn't look away from what we'd done. My mother, he explained, had resisted at first. She'd been defensive, angry, but slowly, through weeks of therapy, she'd started to see it too. We turned you into the responsible one because it was easier than actually parenting Bryn, my father said. We took your strength for granted. We treated your success like it was something that just happened, instead of something you worked incredibly hard for. And when you needed us to show up for you, we chose our own comfort over doing the right thing. He was crying now, tears running down his weathered face. I don't expect you to forgive me, I don't deserve it, but I needed you to know that I see it now. I see what we did to you. I see how we made you invisible, while we focused all our energy on your sister. I see how we used you. I didn't cry. I felt calm, centered in a way I'd never felt before. I appreciate you coming here and saying this, I said carefully. I appreciate you acknowledging what happened. But I need you to understand something. He looked at me, waiting. I'm not the same person who wired you that money. That person believed family meant unconditional sacrifice. That person thought love meant erasing herself to make room for everyone else. I've learned that's not love. That's dysfunction. I know. Real love doesn't ask you to make yourself smaller. Real family doesn't punish you for setting boundaries. And I'm not going back to being the person who accepts less than I deserve, just to keep the peace. My father nodded. I understand. What can I do? I thought about it carefully. You can pay me back. Not because I need the money anymore, but because it's the right thing to do. It's about integrity, not finances. I'll start payments next month. $500 a month. It'll take me 20 months. But I'll pay every cent. And you can work on building the kind of family I might want to be part of someday. Not today. Not next month. Maybe not for years. But if you really do the work, if you really change, maybe there's a path forward. We're in therapy. Both of us. We're trying. Good. That's a start. He stood to leave, then reached into his jacket pocket. Bryn wanted me to give you this. I didn't read it. That's between you and her. He handed me an envelope, thick with pages. After he left, I sat with the envelope for a long time before opening it. Inside was a 6-page handwritten letter from Bryn. Her handwriting was shaky, emotional. Madeline, it began. I don't know if you'll even read this. I wouldn't blame you if you didn't. But I need to say things I should have said a long time ago. I was jealous of you. Not just a little bit jealous. Consumed by it. You were everything I was too scared to try to be. Smart, successful, independent, strong. And instead of using that as inspiration, I made you into a villain. I told myself you were the problem because it was easier than looking at my own failures. Mom and Dad enabled me. I see that now. Every time I quit something, they made excuses. Every time I failed, they blamed circumstances. They never made me accountable, and I never learned to be strong. You learned because you had to, because they didn't baby you, and I resented you for it instead of learning from you. The engagement party was the worst thing I've ever done. You saved our house, and I kicked you out because I couldn't handle being in the same room as your success. That's pathetic. That's cruel. That's unforgivable. I'm in therapy now. 3 times a week. I'm working on myself in ways I should have started years ago. I'm learning to take responsibility. I'm learning that my insecurities are mine to manage, not yours to accommodate. Tyler and I still talk sometimes, as friends. He's dating someone new. Someone he met through work. She's a teacher, and she sounds really kind. He told me that watching you walk out of that dinner with your dignity intact taught him what real strength looks like. It taught me too. I don't expect you to forgive me. I haven't forgiven myself, But I wanted you to know that you were right about everything. About me. About mom and dad. About our family being dysfunctional. You were right. And I was too much of a coward to admit it. I hope someday I can be half as strong as you. I'm sorry, Bryn. I set the letter down and walked to my window. The city stretched out below me, full of possibility and light. I thought about the journey I'd been on. The betrayal. The pain. The anger. The liberation. I thought about the $10,000 that had bought me something more valuable than I could have imagined. Clarity about who I was and what I deserved. I opened my laptop and started writing in my journal, something my therapist had encouraged me to do. For years, I believed that being strong meant carrying everyone else's weight. I thought love meant sacrificing myself until there was nothing left. I thought family meant accepting whatever treatment came my way, because blood is supposed to be thicker than water. But I learned something that changed everything. The full saying is, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. It means the bonds we choose can be stronger than the bonds we're born into. Real family doesn't ask you to make yourself smaller. Real love doesn't punish you for thriving. Real belonging doesn't require you to apologize for your success or hide your light so others feel comfortable in their darkness. I gave $10,000 to save a house, but I got something more valuable in return. I learned the price of my own peace. And I learned I'm worth more than being someone's backup plan or emotional punching bag. Cutting them off wasn't cruelty. It was clarity. It was choosing myself for the first time in my life. Now they're doing the work to become people worthy of a relationship with me. Maybe we'll rebuild something new. Maybe we won't. Either way, it'll be okay. Because I finally understand something fundamental. You can't pour from an empty cup. And you can't light yourself on fire to keep others warm. The greatest gift I ever gave myself was permission to walk away from people who only valued me when I was useful, and to walk toward people who value me simply because I exist. That's not selfish. That's survival. That's self-respect. That's love. I closed my journal and smiled. My phone buzzed with a text from Grace. Dinner tonight? My brother James is visiting from Boston. I think you two would really hit it off. I looked around my condo, at everything I'd built for myself, the home I'd saved for, the life I'd created, the peace I'd fought for. I'd love that. I texted back. I was ready for whatever came next, because I finally knew my worth, and I would never forget it again. Standing at my window, watching the sun set over Seattle, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Complete peace with myself. Not peace that came from pleasing everyone around me, but peace that came from honoring my own needs and boundaries. My family might never fully understand what they put me through. They might never become the family I wished I had growing up. But that was okay, because I'd learned to be the family I needed. I'd learned to show up for myself the way I'd always shown up for them, and that made all the difference. The ending I got wasn't the one I'd imagined when I wired that money 6 months ago. It was better, because it was real, it was mine, and it was built on truth instead of obligation. Sometimes the best thing you can do for people you love is show them that their behavior has consequences. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to enable dysfunction, and sometimes the family you choose is more important than the family you were born into. I had Grace. I had my new friends. I had my career. I had my home. I had built a life that reflected my values, not other people's expectations. That was the real happy ending. Not reconciliation, not apologies, not even repayment of the money. The happy ending was me, standing in my own home, living my own life, finally free from the weight of other people's dysfunction. That was worth more than $10,000. That was worth everything. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a situation where family took advantage of your generosity, where you had to choose between keeping the peace and honoring your own boundaries? How did you handle it? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who's struggling with a similar situation. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button It helps more people find these stories and realize they're not alone in their struggles. And if you want to hear more stories about setting boundaries, choosing yourself, and building the life you deserve, please subscribe to this channel. I share new stories every week about real people navigating difficult family dynamics and finding their way to peace and happiness. Finally, if you know someone who needs to hear this message, someone who's struggling with family dysfunction or feeling guilty for setting boundaries, please share this video with them. Sometimes we need to hear that it's okay to choose ourselves, that it's okay to walk away from people who don't treat us with respect, even if they're family. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope it brought you some comfort, some clarity, or at least the knowledge that you're not alone in your struggles. Remember, you are worthy of love, respect, and kindness. You don't have to earn those things by sacrificing yourself. They're yours by right, simply because you exist. Take care of yourselves, choose yourselves, and never apologize for setting boundaries that protect your peace. Until next time.